And we are live, ELF Live, the Thursday edition before the championship game. And my co-host, Matt Bressington, is nowhere to be found.
My
There he
suit
is.
came.
He's getting in here. Matt, we're live, baby. What's going on, everybody in the chat? Marcus, Google Conto, Vikings win championship game. ELFpedia, John Jenkins. Guys in the chat, if you're not excited right now, I don't know what's going to get your heart pumping, because it is the ELF championship game weekend. We've got a fantastic show for you. We are breaking the all-star teams live on this show in a couple of minutes. We want to hear the things you're happy about, the guys you think maybe got snubbed, and then we're going to talk about the championship game. Matt has come back in the room, settled in. Mr. Matt Washington, what's up, man?
My suit, I ordered my suit yesterday, and it's just come. And if I didn't get it, I would be flying to Germany tomorrow morning. I wouldn't have got it. So I had to sprint downstairs. They had to sign everything. What a way to start the show.
There we go. So you're suited and booted because you're going to be at the ELF championship game this weekend. You and I both depart from our respective homes tomorrow morning, and we will be going up to Gelsenkirchen for the ELF championship game and the honor show on Saturday, which I'll be hosting. Guys in the chat, we got a good one. We got a good one today. We've seen the all-star teams, and we are very curious what your opinions are, everyone in the chat. So feel free to let your emotions fly around. So we're going to get to the all-star teams here in a couple of minutes. But Matt, real quick, how you doing, man? It's been a little while since we've been on the show. ELF has been busy. Everyone in Gelsenkirchen getting stuff ready for the championship game. We didn't get to do our show on Monday. How you feeling, bro?
I've missed you, man. I've missed you.
I miss you too, bro.
I started my master's degree. Just all my suit. And apart from that, just watching tape, getting ready for this game. There's so many different things that I think could come up with this. There's a ton of different instances that could occur. Yeah. And I'm done with watching tape now. My tape film study area is done. And now on to the actual, let's put what we've seen into practice and see how this game turns out.
It's exactly like when you're preparing for a game as a player or as your coach. You put in the work, of practice, you watch film, you go to practice, you get your game plan, and then it's the weekend. It's game day, and you got to let your preparation take over. That's the same. It's the same with you right here, Matt. So before we get into All-Star, let's just a little bit. Just give me a little tease, Matt. What are you thinking about this game this weekend? What is getting you excited?
It's the potentials. It's the all-star, and it's a level of quality that's in this game and the matchups I'm excited about. Me and Jamal and Alex, we talked just a couple of days ago, and we're just going back and forth with different matchups, and it soon became like a half an hour discussion about, what about this and what about him? What about him versus him? And it just started snowballing. So in this game, there's probably about 30 or 40 key matchups to go through. And I think that's what I'm most excited about. The amount of quality we have, European as well as American, that just makes this game so complete.
Absolutely, man. I mean, there's a lot of talent in this game. You said it. European talent and American import talent. Two quarterbacks that have very different paths, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the show when we do our matchups, our key matchups that we want to look at and talk a little bit more in depth, and then we make our official predictions. I'm still undecided, Matt. It's going to take me a few more minutes here to decide what I'm going to go. Are you locked in? Do you know who you're going to pick?
I know who I'm going to go for. It's tight, but I think I've had a vision.
Okay, you got a vision. Okay, yeah. Matt Bressington, he's been spoken to by powers beyond. The football gods have talked to Matt Bressington. All right, guys, I think it's time. Everyone's been waiting for this. We've had our players play all year. We've had players from multiple different countries. We've had American imports. We've had homegrowns. We'd have European imports. Guys from all over competing in the ELF this year. A lot of talent. This might have been, has been the most talented group of players in the European League of Football, which means it's the most talented group of players ever playing in a league in Europe. And we are going to name the All-Stars. So we are very curious, guys, your reactions to the All-Stars, the way that these were created. 1/3 fan vote, Matt, what was the other one? 1/3 league vote, 1/3 coaches vote, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that is how the All-Stars were chosen. So fans had a hand in this. And I think it is about time. So we're going to start off. We're going to keep the anticipation high. And we're going to start off with the second team. We are going to do it. Maxie, do you want to throw up the graphic? Here we go. Second team All-Stars 2024. The skill positions. Here we go. Quarterback starting out. Zachary Edwards, Paris Musketeers. Age 26, his third year in the league. Matt, thoughts on this quarterback selection?
I love it. I was going between 1 and 2 on him on second team and first team All-Star. I personally voted for him to be an All-Star, so I'm happy he's here. The fans, I think, are voted correctly. He's had his best season in the year left, and he's had natural progression every single season. His team made the playoffs and was one of the best 4 teams. Great pick. I love it.
What other quarterbacks do you think were in the conversation for that?
Riley, naturally, was in that conversation. I think some people maybe have a bit of a dark horse of Sullivan. Personally, I didn't vote, but then Jeffries was again around that kind of area. Jadrian had a few people saying about him as well. But I think the big one again, Ben VP is going to be in that around that discussion. One of the best teams, one of the best quarterbacks. Naturally, he's going to be in that discussion as well. So there's a ton of quarterback talent. Like you said, I think you rounded out perfectly. The best and probably most depth we've had at the positions all ELF history.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of elite quarterbacks are the quarterback play in the is quite strong, at least in the top half this year. Some teams still trying to figure out the quarterbacks, but the top half, great quarterback play. Zach Edwards named second team. Kari Pajarainen, the Finnish running back. He's 25 years old. What do you think of this one, Matt?
Loved it. I said it before the season. He's going to get 1,000 yards. Don't mean to be bragging, but I was right. He did do that. Last season, when I think we saw the flashes, he was splitting the carries with the Vegan brothers, and we saw kind of the hints that he could be a franchise running back. This season showed it in even more. I think he's the engine of the Vikings offense, and we're going to see it in the final, I think, quite often.
It's pretty interesting. 3 Vienna Vikings weapons on the second team All-Star here with Torre, Beer Bomber, and Pajran. Counter is up until the, thanks, Max. You're getting a little info from our Max. Okay. Beer Bomber, Matt, obviously injured a little bit, came back, dominated in his playoff game in the semifinal against Paris. What do you think?
I'm a little surprised. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't personally vote for him. I'm hoping that Rouse and Elder's in here. I know that Andrea Botta Morena had a pretty decent season and stayed a lot more healthier. But he did have a very, very big end of the season. And people are going to remember that a lot more than the start of the year. So I'm not mad at it. I'm just a little bit surprised. You know what I mean?
Recency bias is a powerful phenomenon. I know. I've got that performance in my mind from the semifinal game. Moving on, wide receivers. Aaron Jackson coming out of Berlin. What do you think of this, Matt?
Second team surprising. You know, he was the league leader this season, right? And he got 11 touchdowns. So I'm surprised that he's number 2. He's on. I guess maybe didn't make the playoffs. Maybe that's what on people's mind. But and also they have Robin out quite a lot of the year, so he had to carry a lot of that weight. I wouldn't have put him in second team, but I'm glad that he's got the All-Star selection.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I did think that he was probably in the first team conversation. I definitely voted for him. I mean, also, you got to take into account his return game this year as well. But moving on, Markel Castle coming off the Triple Crown last year. I guess, should we call it a step down this year? I mean, making second team, he really stepped it up kind of in the second half of the year. He really started to catch up and start to add on to those numbers. But they had quarterback trouble. What do you think of this?
Again, second team is a little bit surprising. Second in the league for his yards, 6 touchdowns, but again, maybe that a little bit lower than some of his contemporaries. I guess that might have been a deciding factor. But I'm hoping that we see certain people in the first team. I haven't had a much of an in-depth look at our schedule thing, so I'm leaving it to the deciding. But Markel out again. I'm a little bit surprised he's in second team, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to see. Yeah, we're gonna have to see once we go through all of second team and all of first team. Then you can talk about snubs. Right now, we don't know if some of these guys you're thinking about are they gonna appear on the first team.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we'll see. And oh yeah, Jamal says Ajax second team. I think some people that's surprising. He looked to me for much of the year like the best wide receiver in the league for much of the year. And when we even, we're talking to some DBs around the league, they point to him as like, oh, that's the wide receiver that's really up there. And then, of course, Noah Toure, the young man. You've been talking about him all year, Matt. You think he's deserving?
I'm a little bit surprised. I think he was borderline all-star. I didn't vote for him as all-star, if I'm going to be honest. He was a spectacular player in his rookie season, one of the best newcomers we've ever seen. But would I put him above maybe people like Geyer or Spiller in a European conversation? Not this season. You got people like Robitaille, Carlos Hill that have finished above him in yards. Right. The Vienna fan base, I think, is showing out in this second team all-star offense. They've had a lot of votes coming in.
You think you think that this is heavily reliant on the Vienna fan base? I mean, it's one of the biggest. Yeah,
a little bit.
Hey, it's heavy Vienna for the skill positions on second team. So there we have it. ELFpedia, well-known disrespect. Yeah. I guess people are talking a little disrespectful on Aaron Jackson right there. I don't know. Remains to be seen. All right, let's move on to the boys, the big boys, the trenches. Maxie, hit us with the graphic.
There we go.
Going? There we go. There we go. All right, our offensive lineman right here. All right, let me just give a little shout out to these boys, the offensive linemen. And Sven Breidenbach is the oldest all-star. If my information serves me, he's 35 years old. He's the oldest all-star. And then Alessandro Vergani on the Stuttgart Surge is the second oldest at age 34. So two old all-stars right there with a couple of young guys. Lewis Thomas coming out of Great Britain, Leander Weigand, the German, age 25. And Jeremy Gasparo of the Paris Musketeers. Matt, what do you think about this crew of guys?
I love all these guys. I'm a little surprised at some of the people not being in the first team. Alessandro, one of the best offensive linemen. Both of those, him and Sven, agent like fine wine. He's one of the best interior linemen in the league, and he was one of the best running games in the league. Well, at some points, not all of it, but he's still phenomenal. You saw when he came out against Ryan, and then he looked significantly worse in offense. Weingart, young, very successful. We're going to see a trend of Thomas influenced lineman maybe coming into that all-star discussion. Sven. He's one of the best tackles in the league. Lewis Thomas, I'm glad that he's got his due diligence because he's a phenomenal offensive lineman out of the UK. Just technically is outstanding. I'm happy he's got his flowers. And Gasparo, one of the more underappreciated centers in the league. He's very efficient. He's very good. His hands are placed well. He's strong. Has that kind of nastiness. I mean, he got ejected in one game, but he's got that good kind of nastiness you want from an offensive lineman. I'm happy with these picks. Again, maybe I would have had some people personally in my first team, but I'm happy for all of them for achieving the All-Star nominations.
Sure. Yeah, you're happy for him. Here in the chat, Hoffman says Gasparo, interesting. Marcus, my man, says, I knew we'd see Vergani somewhere. Lucas Meyer, my boy Lucas Meyer, says, this is ridiculous. And then Hoffman says Vergani should be first team all-star. Yeah. Is that the one that you were thinking about that should be on the first team?
That's my big one. Yeah, that's my big one. Sven had a little bit of a slow start, as did the Ryan Fire offensive line. Lewis missed a couple of games, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
I would put Vergani, who's probably my number one guy out of them that I thought would be in the first team selections.
Yeah, I mean, he just has such a presence. He is such an emotional leader as well. Like, in addition to his actual football skills, he makes everybody around him better. And you can almost see that on tape too, which is difficult. And it's rare for a player to have that type of presence. And so, yeah, you'd like to see him on the first team. ELFpedia says Vergani first team for sure. ELFpedia also says, who's second team fullback? Interesting you asked. There actually are not fullbacks getting all-star recognition this year. Maxie, should we Maxie, can we name the names of the guys who are in the conversation? And we got two guys who are in the conversation, but they're not officially all-stars. And we can name the names of the guys here. I'm going to my document here just so we can give a little bit of props for the fullbacks who technically are not all-stars. Patrick Puch, Ryan Fire, and Leon Helm of the Stuttgart Surge. These are the two guys who are in the conversation, but the ELF decided not to do fullbacks for All-Star. Fun story about Leon Helm. Back when I played a little ball myself, Leon Helm shattered my collarbone back playing in the GFL. This guy is an absolute beast. So he gets to be an all-star in our hearts, even though not technically on paper. X56C78, that's an interesting username. Lander should be first team. What do you think about that, Matt? Maybe
I could see an argument. I personally wouldn't have him at first team, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in later first teams. But he's phenomenal. Like he's excellent. So not mad at it, but I think there's some other offensive linemen this year had like more standout years, in my opinion.
Sure thing. All right. So I think the big takeaway from that group right there is Vergani deserves first team, but congrats to these boys. Let's move on to the defense. Maxie, pop up that beautiful graphic. There we go. We got to talk defense. Front seven right here. All right. Will Lytle, Cologne Centurions. He's 25 years old. Pierre-Yves Maho out of the Helvetic Mercenaries. He's 23 years old. Martin Pinter, 27. Aaron Donkor, with his experience in the NFL, 29 years old from Germany. What are your thoughts on this defensive line right here, Matt?
I'm really, really happy Will Lytle got his flowers because he was one of the best D tackles all year. I was telling people he should be an all-star, and then finally he is an all-star. He's, for me, the best interior D lineman in the league. Pierre, young guy, came in especially at the later half of the season, came in clutch for Switzerland again. They have such a great Swiss core of defensive players. The offense kind of catching up with people like Spiller. But I think he did a really good job, especially with injuries to that position that they suffered during the season. Pinter, I am surprised by. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I think a bad analyst sits on the bench, and I'm surprised that Pinter was selected at All-Star. I thought there'd be other people in that position that may have been in it, but I don't know. I haven't seen first team, so I guess we'll find out. Aaron Donkor, phenomenal second half of the season, kind of slower. We saw that last season though with Alessandro Fernandez and that run fire defense, where they kind of start slow and then all of a sudden bang, they're leading the league in sacks. So not surprised at that one. Ludwig, I'm a little surprised by. He had a bit of a quieter year. But we haven't gone down that bit. I'm getting too ahead of myself. My bad.
Oh yeah, there you go. Hey, settle down. Let's go on to just going to the chat here. We've got that Matt Bressington is a first team all ELF live guest right there. No. There we go. First team all-star, Matt.
No.
Congrats, bro. Shucks. Congrats. Oh, shucks, man. Shucks. You need to make him blush, guys. All right, let's move on to the linebackers. Ludwig. We've got Marius Kenzie and Hugo Durendal. Matt, be honest, man. Be honest. Talk to me about your perceptions on these.
I think I know you're a linebacker.
I am.
Formerly. We had a lighter crop of linebackers this season compared to last season.
We did.
You know what I mean? We did a little bit.
I was
phenomenal.
A little light.
A little bit light. There's a couple of Euro-American boys that have been kind of taking a lot of the spotlight, but European a little bit quieter. Marius, I watched say on him just the other day. Great tackler. It's really the heart of that Ryan Fire defense. When you start watching the tape, you see how involved he is. Hugo, tackle machine. Like, he was kind of the same thing as Marius was, but he had even more stats. He was just everywhere. Ludwig had a quieter year. Like, he's still a phenomenal player on the defense that he's been at for a number of years, and he has such positional versatility. But, he had less sacks than he did last season. He had more total tackles, but I don't know, he didn't pop as much as I expected him to in the preseason, but still a phenomenal player. And congratulations on the All-Star selections. That's his first as well.
Nice. In the chat, Hoffman says, after coming to Cologne mid-season, Pinter rediscovered his joy for football. Still, an all-star honor is a bit too much credit for him.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. All right. Marcus says Lewis Bach must be on first team All-Star. Shout out to Lewis Bach.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamal, thanks, man. Georgetown Hall of Fame, Tech CEO, black shirt wearing now. Thanks, Jamal. Appreciate that, man. Matt, we both got first team according to Jamal. Look at us go. And we're not even on first team yet. So there we have it. Front seven for second team All-Stars right there. Maxie, let's give the specialists some love.
Yes.
Pop it up. Can't forget the specialists. It's 1/3 of the game.
There we go. Interesting.
Oh yeah, excuse me. Sorry, the DBs. I got way ahead of myself.
Oh damn, yeah. I was gonna say.
Because that's all that matters is the front seven on defense.
Of course.
Okay?
Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
All right, DBs. Bijan Harris, 23 years old, out of the USA. Maceo Beard, 24 out of France. Chad Walrons, 25 out of Great Britain. And the man Luke Glenna, playing in Spain this year, 24 years old. It's a solid selection of DBs right there. Matt, what are your initial thoughts?
I'm hoping we see some more people from the Surge in the first team. If we don't see both of those guys, going to be a little bit confused. Bijan, yeah. I see the vision. I'm not mad at it. I think I would have I voted for Rodion myself because he had a little bit, more consistently throughout the year.
Sure.
Maceo, again, not his best season. Still a good year, don't get me wrong. People always take it as disrespect when you say, oh, it's not that best season, but they still played well. But he did do good. But again, no Rodion as of now, which is alarming. And then Chad had a great season. I think that he stepped up massively. Obviously, I made the video about him going from Cologne to the Surge. Borderline All-Star, I think you could maybe make a case for him being an All-Star. He did have an excellent season, also a phenomenal returner. That Surge defensive core is just unreal. I'm also really hoping we see some more of those Surge guys on first team. Luke Glenna, actually, I'm really impressed by his performance this season. Last year, when I was reviewing some of the tape and he was at Barcelona, I was like, he gets burned quite a lot in man coverage. That was one of the things. He wasn't really a ball hawk. This season, he really took a step up and ended up actually being one of the more successful players in that region. And he actually ended with 5 interceptions, which I did not see coming. So he definitely proved me wrong on my preseason evaluation.
Right.
Just some of these feel a bit premature. I'm gonna be honest.
I would say, Maxie, our director Maxie, we send it in messages right here. He's coming at you, Matt. He said Bijan Harris forced like 2 turnovers per game, which that is true. He did come about halfway through the season. I'm very impressed with Bijan Harris. That's incredibly impressive to make the All-Star team, not playing the full season. Maceo Beard, Matt, what do you think? I mean, he was a lot quieter this year than he was last year. A lot quieter.
He was. And if we're saying about the interceptions in the games, Jane Embry would be in this conversation. He played one less game and had a similar impact. I can see in the comments people talking about Alexander Borkovic. Again, surprising. Alex Spillum would be in this conversation. If you want to talk about turnovers, Chandler Jones is probably going to be around there. Even people like Wentzberger and Wentzer from the Surge had a really good season. So it's not all about.
I mean, he had 4 interceptions. He was still top. The Surge had 4 guys.
Yeah, be a little quiet here.
What's that? Yeah, they're quite a year. Got a shout out to Cody Pastorino, the DB coach for the Surge. He's got those boys right. They're intercepting 50% of the balls thrown their way. Pretty legit. So there we've got that. Okay. Someone in the chat said Chad first team for sure as well. ELFP said that. What do you think on that, Matt? Fellow Brit.
I love him. I think he's great.
You made that video on him.
First team, maybe not. Maybe. But there's also some other great safeties. He would be like Ben Strait for Europeans, I think would edge into that first team, maybe above a Chad, but you could make a case. At the moment, as I stand, maybe I'm on the border, but I think if you talk me into it, I wouldn't be too opposed. I watched a ton of tape for him in the Surge staff. So
it is crazy, actually, how deep this league is at defensive back. It's unbelievable because you just named off about 5 more guys. Be like, oh yeah, they're all-stars, but there's just not enough room. But there's so many guys, so much talent at the DB position in this league. But there we have it. The DBs at second team. We got to move on to the next segment. Now we can touch on the specialists. 1/3 of the game, special teams. Don't overlook it. And here they are, the second
wow.
team all-stars for specialists. Matthias Dupont, Remy Berthelin, and Austin Mitchell, all three from the Paris Musketeers. Wow. Big love for Paris and the second team specialists. What do you got here, Matt?
I like it. Austin Mitchell, amazing performances in the playoffs. I mean, they just flat out stopped kicking to him. So if anything, that should be, we could argue, first team, maybe, should be in that conversation. Dupont, a little surprised by. It wouldn't have been in my top kickers. You got people like Lenny Craig, and you got Robert Werner as well that I would have. Maybe Sebastian Van Santen and Tasic. So maybe he would be just outside my top 5. And then Remy as well, punting as a all-star, was a punter, even though he's a natural receiver. But Remy Berthelin is also a very underappreciated receiver. So I'm glad that he's been voted into an all-star selection, even if it's not his natural position.
Yes. In the chat, Jens App says, what a joke.
Oof.
Oof. And then we got, let's see, some guys. Jamal threw in 3 croissants. There we go. Yeah, I would say I'm a little surprised by the kicker. The kicker choice right there. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about Berthelin as the punter, but kudos to him for being an ELF All-Star in 2021 as a receiver and now as a punter. Talk about versatility. But okay. Jens, you say what a joke. Who would you like to see in there? Put it in the chat for us. And Matt, does Austin Mitchell deserve to be first team?
Maybe. I mean, Aaron Jackson's already an all-star, but I mean, you could argue that he could be both positions, and then obviously we got.
I can't wait till we have the first team, because right now we gotta hold our judgment until we know what the complete teams are, because we don't know who's gotten snubbed yet. We don't know, but the emotions are gonna fly. Jamal says Dupont was like 50% kicking. I think this must be that the Paris fan base just showed out on the voting or something.
Yeah, Red Company.
Yeah, Red Company. There we go. 4th down fiasco. The boys are in here. They're late. Hey, better late than never. We just did the second team all-stars. We're finishing them up. 4th down fiasco.
I was late too.
Matt was late too, and he hosted the show. So just got here. Wow, there we go. Paris Musketeers showing out on special teams. Congrats to them. So there we have it. That is our second team all-star squad for the 2024 season. Matt, I'm gonna reserve some questions that I've got for you until we get through first team, because I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about after first team, because then we're gonna know like who's actually missing. Right now, there's a lot of mystery left. A lot remains to be seen. Lenny K, all love to DuPont, but some kickers got snubbed for sure. Lenny Creek, hey, Lenny, my man.
If he's not here, I'm gonna flip.
Lenny, we hope to see you on first team, brother. We'll see. Stick around. We're gonna, in about 40 seconds, we're gonna be dishing out the first team awards. Matt, real quickly, 30 seconds. Who on that second team squad do you feel the strongest should have been first team?
Aaron Jackson.
That's
okay. Absolutely. He led the league. Like, I don't know how he could be second team and lead the league and also have like a good amount of touchdowns, not like he has significantly less.
Yeah, and also when you take even stats out of it, just kind of when you watch tape and just the way that he played and kind of how dominant he was and how difficult he was to defend, his presence, I'm with you on that. I like Aaron Jackson and Alessandro Vergani. Give me those guys on first team. But there we have it. That's second team. And now, first team, here we go. There it is. Oh, Matt, your jaws drop. First team quarterback, Ben Holmes. Running back, the least surprising, Glenn Tunga. Dominated everything from coast to coast. Adria Batella Moreno. Austin Mitchell, first team wide receiver. Reese Horn, first team wide receiver. Louis Geyer, first team wide receiver. Matt, you look shocked.
Yeah, I am a little bit, yeah.
Talk to me, brother. This is a therapy session. Talk to me. Don't even worry about the chat. It's you and me here.
Me and you. I love Ben Holmes, but he was injured. And I would maybe argue someone like Chad Riley. I'm not massively mad at this one. I can see the vision. I'm too bad. Glenn, I don't even need to talk about it. Obviously. Andrea Botello-Marino, I like it. Good pick. I think that he was underappreciated. The stats don't tell a whole story of how important he was, especially with the like short yardage stuff and 2-point conversions and whatnot. I like that pick. I'm happy with him being all-star. But yeah, we've had some snubs. I'm not gonna lie. At tight end,
say you just held back a little right there, and we gotta. Hey, this is a safe space. What were you gonna say?
Raul Saneda's an all-star, man. Like, he got snubbed. I'm gonna straight up say it. One of the best tight ends in the league this year. He was absolutely robbed. Also a decent blocker, man. He was robbed. Austin Mitchell, 2 selections all-star. I didn't have him in my first team. I had him in my second team, so I'm not too mad at it. He just got over 1,000 yards, so I'm happy with it. Reese Horn, happy with it. Perfect. Geyer, I am surprised at being first team. Let's just, me and you, Nick, let's just talk about, I can't swear too much.
We can swear.
Why is Spiller not on this all-star selection?
I know that's the one that I know that you're gonna be really upset about. I knew it. You made the video. You were big. You were kind of the lead campaigner for Milan Spiller.
Yeah.
Yep. That's definitely one that I'm a little bit surprised didn't even make the top 6. I do love the Lewis Geyer on there, though. You know me. I'm a Surge guy. I love the Lewis Geyer on there. And Reese Horn also absolutely dominant. Glenn Tunga, I don't get it. Why is Glenn an all-star? That's a ridiculous one. So obviously silly there. Didn't deserve it. Matt, you're upset, man. Talk it out, brother. Talk it out.
Spiller was robbed, man. The fans, or whoever we voted for, collectively, we've got to come together and do better. The fact that a 1,000-yard receiver, who European, and a young in his early 20s, was arguably the best receiver in his team. And I know they made playoffs, but he also did it with 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah. All right, let's hit some of the chat here real quick. Okay. Clobat says Ben was injured but still had the same stats. To be honest, he would have had the best stats if he would have played every game. That's fair right there. Sure. X56C78. You got to get a new username, by the way. I'm not reading that anymore. Malik Stanley is the best. Short season, great impact. Marcus says thin ice, Matt. Thin ice. Geyer belongs there. That's from Marcus. Lenny K, why did the ELF post the complete first team on IG already? Damn, ELF, we're supposed to be breaking it out here, Maxie.
Come on, man. What? Real enough flow.
Maxie. Oh, no. Okay. Elias Hoffman said Spiller will be rewarded for a season at the ELF honors. So
not good enough.
Not good enough. It's not good enough for you, Matt.
He needs an all-star. Because we have
Quofi didn't make a team either. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of talented people that are pissed off right now. A lot of guys that are not happy. But we've got to congrats the fellas that did make it. All right, what you got? You got 6 wide receivers, Matt. We got to move on to the offensive line here in a sec. You got to kick one of them out to put Spiller in. Who you booting?
I love Torrey, but I'm gonna kick Torrey out of this one. Spit out the better season. Their situations are very comparable. Both rookie years. I'm gonna go with Spiller on that.
There we go. Okay. All right. We can talk about it again in a second, but we got to move on and get our offensive line some love here as well. So moving on to the trenches. There we have it. Alexander Milanovic, David Weinstock, Arnold Holierhoek, Nick Veens, and David Rauter. Our offensive linemen. We've got, what is that? Three Ryan Fires?
Yeah.
3 Fires, 2 Vikings. Everyone's in the championship game. What do you think of that, Matt?
Keanu Ebanks nowhere or Steven Nilsson.
Either one of them, bro. 2 big names left off the list.
2 big names. Nick Veens, outstanding. All these guys I want to make first and foremost are outstanding overall stars. I'm just moaning. Us Brits, we do it all the time just because we didn't get 20 offensive linemen all-stars. I can moan. But Nick, great. David Rauter, of course, this Vienna run game is great. And you can't do it with the offensive line. Speaking of which, also no Hullab as well. Oh, my goodness. Milanovic, one of the best tackles in the league. David had a rough game in the last game. A little surprised he's first team, I'm going to be honest. No Pauly Sacramento. He was also really, really good this year. Arnold Hollenhawk, one of the best in the game. So I'm not surprised that he's an all-star as well. It just seems, I feel like I'm missing someone really big other than Keanu and Steven, and I can't put my finger on it, but I feel like there's someone else that's like drastically missing, and I can't quite put my name. Maybe the chat can help me out on that one.
Yeah, chat. What do you think? What do you think on there? Well, how about Luka Jokic of the Surge? He was was he on a first team last year?
Yeah.
Did you watch much tape on this year?
Let me have a look at my boards. Get my live scouting boards up. See what I'm missing.
Marcus says Vergani should have had some room up there. Matt, you are no longer welcome in Vienna since your preseason power ranking. That's from Clobald. You're getting. There's a little bit of smoke directed at you, Matt. It's a good thing that the championship game is not in Austria, because I don't know, man. You might have need some secret security detail if it was in Vienna, especially with that Toure comment right there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
You said it though. A good analyst gets off the bench, and you're doing it. Other guys, yeah, Steven Nielsen. That's what Elias Hoffman is wondering about Steven Nielsen. And no Munich guy, says Jamal. The famous Joe Thomas coached Munich O-line. No first team All-Stars.
Raji.
What's that?
No, yes, sir, Raji. He was out again this season.
Marlon Vertman. Lucas Meyer says Marlon Vertman is missing on center.
That's a good shout.
Lucas Meyer, you're missing, bro. You're top 5 in my heart. All right, so that's what we got.
I'm not too mad at that one.
You're right. Are you gonna be okay? Are you okay? Are you less upset about the offensive line, Matt?
I love all these guys, so I'm good. I'm good with those selections. I'm just complimentary of why wasn't this guy an all-star? However, I agree with all the selections. You know what I mean?
That's tough, man. Only having 2 all-star teams. Honestly, I wish that they did 3 and then maybe even an honorable mention, or 2 and an honorable mention too. That's kind of how a lot of college conferences do it. So there we have the offensive line. It makes sense though that we've got the 2 squads that are in the championship game, 2 of the best running games in the league. They're filling out the offensive line first team right there. So there it is. The Boys in Trenches first team. Congrats to all of them. X56C78 sounds like a Joe Thomas burner account. That is from our director, Maxie. Yeah, he's just listing off Munich Raven. Is that you, Joe? Joe?
What's up, Joe?
No, use your real username, all right? Maybe next year. I guess you're going to have to come back to Europe. Coach them up a little harder. Maybe they'll get all-star. All right. Let's move on to the defense, front 7. Please, Maxie. There we go. Mamadou Sai, Hugo Klagas, Kyle
Kitchens.
No Kitchens. Stanley Turegbe. And in the linebackers, A.J. Wentland, Dawson Dales, and Jonathan Falk. That's a strong front 7 right there. It's a strong front 7. Matt, initial thoughts?
No Yannick Venke. Robbed. I'm going to say that. No Jabari Regan. I know he's on the Enthroners, but he still had a really good season, so I'm surprised that he's not here. No James Brooks either. Same thing, copy and paste of situations. Mamadou, I like the pick. I'm a little bit surprised maybe at first team, but he is a really, really, really damn good player for that interior line. Hugo Kaigles, I'm glad that he's got his flowers. No Jason Jacari though, which I think he had some injuries during the season, but he's also a phenomenal interior lineman from the Ryan Fire. There's a lot they rotate often. Kyle Kitchens, obviously. Stanley Zaregbe, awesome player. Glad that he's also getting his flowers because he's such an underappreciated player. 2 Americans, I'm sure you'll be very happy with. A linebacker, AJ, obviously. Dawson, obviously. Jonathan, lone European linebacker.
Oh,
happy retirement. And way out leaving on top is arguably one of the best ways to do it.
Hey, good for him, man. We got in the chat. Will Lytle is in the chat himself, talking about himself in the third person. Says, what does Will Lytle have to do to get on first team other than have more TFLs, sacks, forced fumbles, block kicks, and tackles than both the first teamers combined?
Crazy.
Whoa. Matt, you were talking about Lytle earlier in the season. Will, I don't know if you know that your name is actually showing up here. That is why you talked about yourself in the third person. So if you're going to have a burner account, you got to change the name, bro. But hey, that's a fair point. It's a fair point, Will. That's tough, man. And then Jens App is shooting some shots about the punting situation. 11th best punting average. Going back, we're going way back because these comments are coming a little late, but
yeah.
That's interesting. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about this after we do our big full recap here. When I will look at the linebackers, I like the linebackers right here. I like it. I like it a lot. AJ Dawson, obviously two of the best. And Jonathan Falk, 34 years old, man. He had a killer season. Especially kudos to a guy like that who is, when you talk to the guys that play for the Mercenaries, this is kind of the glue of that team, a team that had a lot of off the field adversity. And he was just a tackling machine. So good for him. I feel a little bad for a guy like Zachary Blair who got injured, who was also incredibly productive, playing in a not so ideal situation down in Milano. There's only 3 American linebackers in the league. The other 2 get to be all-stars. Zachary, maybe if he was able to remain healthy the entire year, might be in there as well. Could have got the clean sweep for my American linebacker fellas. But yeah, I mean, I like those linebacker picks right there. Dawson Dale's fastest man in the league.
Yep.
I'm
sorry, I've just had a mental health storm. The fact that Malumbo wasn't on the first team or the second team.
Yeah, there's another one. There's another one.
Mm-hmm. And Lytle should be first team. I'm very stressed. I saw the comment, literally just went, oh my God, no, he's not in it. And I froze.
Yeah. Lytle's in the chat right now, upset and justifiably so. I think that the host of this show might say. So all right, we're going to do our whole recap here. We got to do our DBs now, but that's our front 7. Maxie, give us the DBs for first team. And there we go. Mitch Fettig, Raheem Wilson, Omari Williams, and Ben Straight. Those are the defensive backs first team. Matt, talk.
This is probably the one I agree with most. I haven't got any complaints about this one. I would probably say this is my perfect 4 of all-star selections. Mitch and Raheem. Oh my goodness. Especially with Raheem coming in late, was so good. Amari, phenomenal. And then Ben Straight, another one, probably the best European safety, or arguably the best, top 2 or 3. He's definitely around that conversation. People in different fan bases are going to argue with me, but he's a phenomenal player nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, shout out especially to Ben Straight, the only European, the only homegrown in this crew of them. We talked about it earlier. The defensive backs, the pool of defensive back talent in this league is unbelievable. And for him, 25-year-old homegrown Austrian player to be playing at this level and be in this conversation with these guys, that's absolutely massive. I mean, you guys know I'm a massive, massive fan of Mitch Fettig and Raheem Wilson, 2 guys that I had the privilege of playing with. Absolutely just professionals. These dudes are just workhorses every single weekday, week in, week out. Great guys off the field, fully deserved. I mean, that Stuttgart Surge defensive backfield, just interceptions on interceptions, man. But Matt, we do see, and in the chat they say ELFpedia says no Devin Taylor.
Oh my God, he's right.
What do you think about that?
Oh my God, he's right. I didn't even clock that.
Oh,
infinitely more stressed than I was 10 minutes ago. Oh my goodness, no Devin Taylor. He's one of the best. No Pablo Arrea either. Oh my goodness, it's all coming back to me.
A lot of talent. Would you swap either of those safeties?
It's razor thin between Arrea and Chad, like razor thin. I'll give the edge to Chad, but it's close.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we got people in the chat are upset about Devin Taylor. Khaled said Adisa, Fettig played more safety and Devin Taylor should be in there. Fettig was he played a little bit of both, Yeah, he does it all. So there we have our defensive backs. How about Omari? He had that clutch pick in the semifinals. I mean, showing up. But no Jalen Embry. I mean, you said it, man. People in the chat, no Jalen Embry as well. I mean, it's crazy how many good DBs there are.
Yeah, I mean, he was injured. I'm not too mad at that one. Khaled's just promoting himself. He was at Barcelona. He played a few good games, but definitely not an all-star. I know he's going to message me about that after the show. Devin Taylor, though, man. And then even people like we've talked to the receivers, and they've all said about Jamalcolm Liggins and players like that who are like underappreciated and are some of the better players they played. No, Marlo Sean either.
Right.
Interesting there. But
Marlowe's going to be upset because he
I'm
kept
sure
asking about being in the ELF Hall of Fame when we had him on the show. So he's going to be pretty upset. So we got that there. We have in the chats, we need to have 3 all-star conference teams and 1 ELF all-star team. More players would get their well-earned recognition. That's from Elias Hoffman. That's actually not a bad idea. Conference all-star teams. That's not a bad idea. You do that, and then you do that for the regular season, and then at the end, even after the championship game, you do your full league all-star. Interesting idea. Very interesting idea. But yeah, there we have it. Our defensive backs, first team all-stars. We got to move on now. Final segment, the specialists.
Here we go. Okay.
US Maxi. And there we have Sebastian Van Santen, Lenny Krieg, and Devin Burrell as the first team all-stars. What are your thoughts here, man?
Burrell, no issues. Lenny, no issues. Van Stan, no issues. I'm just surprised that Robert Werner wasn't there. I personally would have had him as an all-star. Returning was quite competitive, but I'm glad that Jackson got his flowers on that as well. But I probably would have put him in maybe into return game. It's quite tough because him, Mitchell, and Burrell were both awesome at returning this year. I'm happy with this one. I haven't got any complaints. I think all those are deservedly all-star players.
No Raiders players in the chat.
Wow,
no Raiders players from. I'm not saying that username again, that long ass username. But that's interesting. Were there any Raiders players? I don't think there were any Raiders.
No, there wasn't. There's no Devin Taylor. There's no Bittendorfer. There was no Tommy Ward because he was injured. No Rodney. No Chad. No Castle.
Leader is should be in the conversation also for specialists, don't you think?
He had a bad start. Yeah, he kind of worked into it, didn't he? But
right,
I would agree. Yeah, no Munich players is crazy for a team that just about. No, is there any Bravo? There was a couple of Bravos.
There was Luke Glenna.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And Pierre.
Yeah. Glenna. Yeah. Okay, there's a couple there, but more. There's a lot of snubs.
Yeah, Lenny Krieg, who is the first team. Congrats, Lenny, by the way. He said not having Dara Leader as a punter on first or second is close to a crime.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, that's I mean, a lot of good players, man. Somebody's going to get snubbed in every position. Someone's going to get snubbed. A lot of people are upset. My phone is blowing up right now of people really, really upset. Hey, guys, me and Matt didn't make these teams, by the way.
We devoted them very differently.
Yeah, we're just announcing them. Hey, this weekend we can do our own all-star teams because we're sharing a room, and this weekend we'll do a podcast maybe if we have time. If we have time, let's do that. Bring your microphone
for sure.
Okay, there we have it. So that is our all-star squad, guys. In the chat, give us your biggest snubs. Anyone that you're really upset that got left off or that was on second team and should have been on first team. We got a lot of people quite upset on here. Yeah, I would say, I think Riley Hennessy should be in the conversation for quarterback. It's very, very difficult. You only got 2 spots. He was the most accurate quarterback the entire year, the highest completion percentage. And I think, unfortunately, that playoff game is in people's minds recently. So you have that recency bias, but these are supposed to be regular season voting, I believe. Noah Moan says Milan Spiller, Ismail Schmidt, Yannick Meyer. That's a good snub too. Yannick Meyer.
David. I know it's 2 running backs, and he was like Tonga and Kerry and David. Yeah. But him not being an all-star kind of hurts to see. No Holub. See in the chat as well.
Carlos Hill, definitely 9 games, 900 yards. Marlo Sean, Holub. Yep, Hennessy. Excuse me. No Madrid O-line.
No, I wouldn't have put them in, to be honest. They're all great, but I wouldn't have put them in against
Matt. Shut that down real quick. No.
Dutchy, that's a good call. Yeah, that's the kind of a surprise that you won that. And you yourself, Mittendorfer, I would have maybe I think I did vote for you.
Tough, man. It's tough. Marcus says, I guess if I have to pick one nitpick, it would be to move Vergani up. Balu, who's a great ELF fan, missing Meyer, Holub, and later. Daniel Schumacher, no issue. What are you talking? Where is leader? Seems like that's a big one for people. That's a big one for people. No Dwayne Obi at running back. I mean, it's tough. I mean, we just thought, David didn't even make it. And Marcus said, if I could complain all night, I'd include Meyer and Hennessy, like a good Surge fan, Marcus, like a good Surge fan.
Even Robitaille, I think it's above Hill there. Robitaille.
Yeah, two other guys that could be in the conversation. I mean, to be named an all-star in this league is an incredible honor because it's so competitive, man.
Yeah.
It's really competitive. And, when you have just two teams, you got just a few spots at each position, and a lot of people are going to be upset, as it clearly is. So those are our all-stars 2024. Congrats to everybody named to the all-star team. And then this weekend, Saturday night, we're going to be doing the ELF honors, which I'll be hosting, and we're going to give out the big awards, the big ones. So you can come be there live, get tickets, come live, and also we'll be streaming it on live, I believe. So you got to check that out wherever in the world you are. Watch the ELF honors on Saturday night. We got a whole ELF weekend. Check it out here. See the graphic with the weekend ELF honors. We got the power party. I'm going to be talking at the power party as well and be up on stage. And then we got the game, and then we got the championship celebration. Last year, this weekend was absolutely incredible. This year, I think it's going to take it to the next level. Matt, it's going to be fun as hell, man.
Yes.
Man, it's going to be really damn fun.
Yes, it is. Because last year I had my laptop plugged up into a university room. We had the whole team watching Jadrian because obviously we knew he was going to come to UE. So we had the whole place set up with the university lecture hall. It was great. But this season's going to be the best by a mile.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's way different being there and be able to be there in person, not just for the game, but for the entire weekend as well. Like, honestly, I went to the Super Bowl in Miami when my brother was with the 49ers, and not to say that the ELF championship game is the Super Bowl. However, the vibes were very similar. The vibes were very, very similar with all the stuff going on, the parties, the events, kind of just the energy. And so, I mean, it's our Super Bowl. It's the Super Bowl of Europe. And so it's a big weekend. So we're very excited for that. Matt, I mean, we still got to talk about the game. Let's talk a little bit about the game here. And what we're thinking. Give me your thoughts, Matt. What matchups are you excited to see?
My favorite one at the moment to think about is Till versus Torre on that receiver core.
Till and Torre.
Everyone's going to be talking about the A receivers and the ADBs, but what matters is how you build your homegrowns, and that's ultimately what's going to win championships. Torre has been an all-star this season now, as we've broken the news of.
Which you don't like.
Which I'm not a massive fan of, but I still think that he's my offensive rookie of the year, so he is rather excellent. But then Till came up so incredibly clutch in that last game against the Surge. So I think they're going to be maybe trying to test him out. Do they avoid him? Do they go to Torre? Do they look at someone more like Schultz? Do they try the American? I think this is going to be an incredibly interesting matchup. And one I think is going a little bit under. You know me, I like to pick my little under the radar picks, and this is definitely my favorite one that I've been thinking about nonstop for the last week.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, Till went crazy in the semifinal. Like, if we're being realistic, he was the MVP of that semifinal game. Yeah. I mean, to cause 3 turnovers in a season is really, really good, and he had 3 in a game. That's that's comically unbelievable. Yeah. And so we'll see if he can have that type of production, even if he's able to force 1 turnover. That'll be absolutely massive. I'm really curious and excited to see these 2 quarterbacks play, man. Jadrian Clark and Ben Holmes. Jadrian, MVP last year, didn't make it on the all-star team this year, but I think if he played the way he played in the second half of the season, the whole season, he might have been in that conversation. And then Ben Holmes, our first team all-stars, first year in Europe. It's interesting. Jadrian's 30 years old.
I was going to say
39. He's Aaron Rodgers. Jadrian's 30 years old. Ben is 29. They're similar in age, but they have way different football journeys. Jadrian's been in Europe since I think 2017 or 18. He's played here for 6-7 years. He's got a lot of European experience, different countries, different leagues, played in This will be his third ELF championship game, but he also played in a AFL championship, a GFL championship. So he has a lot of championship game experience. And Ben, I mean, he has a lot of experience in the North American leagues, played in the CFL, but this is his first European stint. He's a European rookie, but it's interesting that both of these guys have had a lot of success, but having two very, very different journeys. I took a look. I mean, I've been talking about how Jadrian's played in the second half of this year, excluding the playoff games, just looking at kind of the back half of the regular season. He was great. He was absolutely fantastic. He was 22 touchdowns and 2 interceptions with a 75% completion percentage. And he just really clicked in the second half of the year. Holmes, after he came back from injury from week 7 on, he was also very, very good. 24 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. He had a little bit lower of a completion percentage, completing just 65% of his passes. But both of these guys, man, I think that it's going to come down to which of these quarterbacks is able to have more composure and able to kind of lead that team in the final minutes. Because I think this is going to come down to the end. It's going to be so loud. It's going to be crazy. It's going to feel for Vienna and for Ben, it's going to feel close to a home game for the Ryan Fire, because that's not their home stadium like it was last year, but it's still right there in that region. So it's going to be very Rhine Fire heavy, I think. But I don't know. Holmes seems to be incredibly poised. I did a podcast with him earlier in the year. I'm very impressed with how he carries himself and just kind of who he is as a person, and seems to be off the field as well. But you can say the same thing about Jadrian. Both of these guys have had a lot of adversity off the field and have worked their way to be two of the best quarterbacks in Europe. I got my eye on this quarterback battle. What do you think, Matt?
I mean, even like when you say about composure, even their offensive lines are like split basically 50-50 between all-stars. They both have all-star running backs behind them. So like they're not too dissimilar in the situations they are. I think it's literally just going to end up who's the better quarterback and just who produces the plays. They both have all-star players. They both have like phenomenal supporting cast. They both have experience with different levels. I've talked about on the show before about, do you value Jadrian's European experience? Do you value North American experience? Like, I don't have the answers for you yet. I'll sit here smug and say I had the answers all along in a couple of days, but it's such a fascinating matchup. It really is. And Ben Holmes, is got better like pretty much every week. Right. It was started for a bit. He was running interceptions quite often to Alexander Borkovic, who was robbed of an all-star selection. and then this, like in the playoffs, like against Paris, oh my goodness. Like he was running, he was throwing, he was like possibly the MVP if Janssen didn't get it, but my goodness.
I mean, Ben looked absolutely spectacular to me. I was very impressed in his semifinal performance. It seemed like on the biggest stage, he rose to the occasion. And showed also, like, was great through the air, but also showed a side of his game that we hadn't seen all year. Him picking up yards on the ground. He rushed for 70 yards and a touchdown on the ground. And that was like a new wrinkle in his game. Yeah. And for Jadrian in the semifinal, it was a little bit of a different situation. It was horrible conditions, absolute downpour. But when it mattered, he was able to make the plays that needed to happen. He threw 2 touchdown passes in the final few minutes, including overtime. And it was not especially pretty, but he was able to get it done. It's interesting. The Surge got after Jadrian in that semifinal. They sacked him 5 times. And I think it was right after a sack, and when he was pressured for another sack is when he threw that pick 6 to Chad. Mm-hmm. Vienna, they have, throughout the regular season, the most sacks in the ELF. They've got a great D-line. They're going to be trying to get that pressure, and it'll be interesting to see if they're able to do it, because that's where Jadrian can get in a little bit of trouble if he gets consistently pressured like that. And so that's what I'm going to kind of have my eye on. But, he's got some first-team all-star offensive linemen to protect him.
He does. And closed roof, so it won't be raining.
That's true. We got the closed roof. Man, it's gonna be exciting.
So loud in that stadium.
It's gonna be so damn loud. All right, we are going to do our official pick'ems, and guys in the chat, give us your picks for the final game of 2024. I can't believe we made it all the way through from May until September now. We've got the championship game. Last game. Chan, Matt, what do you got?
Okay. All right. I've had to think long. I was stared right down the camera. I think long and hard about this one.
Here
This
we
was
go.
a tough game to predict, but what I think is going to transpire, I think they're going to run the rock with Glenn. I think that he's too big and too physical for these more nimble Vienna linebackers. Tulitza, outstanding. Swankel, outstanding. Lalav, nickel, plays corner safety everywhere. Spent a lot of time in the box. Outstanding. All those guys, more nimble, more light. I'm not sure if they can withhold a 25 carry game from Glenn and then also from Sergi Kendis, one of the better running backs in the league, honestly, as a German. I think the Ryan Fire are going to win. Are we doing score predictions?
Sure.
No, I'll go for 34-27.
34-27, one-score game for the Rhine Fire from Matt. Okay, there we have it. Let's see. In the chat, we've got a lot of people saying Vikings, Spring Football, Vikings, Colbad, Vikings, Balu, +3 Vikings, Luther, Vikes, Mace 2K, Fire, +1 last drive. Jamal said, Jadrian played in Vienna. Glenn and Weininger both lost to Vienna. The Vikings know the personal Vikings win. I messed that up, Jamal, but you said the Vikings win 34-28. Skull. There we go. All right, Matt. Glenn has been absolutely spectacular.
Yes.
However, the Vienna Vikings, as much as a team can, in 2022, they were able to figure out how to shut him down as much as you can shut down Glenn Tunga. I am thinking that the Vienna Vikings defense is able to slow him down just enough to put pressure on that passing game and force it to be a Jadrian versus Ben Holmes situation. That's why I've got my eyes on the quarterback situation. Jadrian played for Coach Kalaikai in Vienna. They know him. They know him very, very well. I'm so back and forth, bro. I'm so back and forth. After what I saw from Ben Holmes last week, the composure and the way that he played and stepped up. This is a guy that played in the CFL. This is a guy that's had a crazy off the field journey. I think he's mentally ready to grab a European championship. And I think that it's going to be a crazy back and forth game. It's going to be down to the last couple minutes, game-winning drive, perhaps even a game-winning field goal. But I got to go Vienna Vikings, man.
Oh.
It's going to Austria. The Rhine Fire are not going to repeat, but I think we're in for possibly one of the greatest ELF games of all time. I think these two teams are going to be incredibly exciting. So much talent at every position, great coaches, great fan bases too. Two fan bases that are a little bit different. They got a little bit different vibes. I would say the Rhine Fire, as I said previously, they're a little bit of the bad guy, the bad boy, the Thanos, if you will. Vienna Vikings, if we're staying on the Avengers, they're kind of like Captain America. They seem like the good guy a little bit. Yeah. So that's a perfect setup for a great story that we got this weekend. What do you think, Matt?
I think, well, you live in Germany, so I feel like they might not let you back, stay there if they lose. So controversial, but I'm far away enough that either one of these fan bases, and I'm going to be going with Ryan's prediction. But I love both of these teams. I talk to several of these players most days, and overall, I agree with you. I think it's in line to be one of the best games we've ever seen on European soil. Full stop. Can't hear you. I shall take over again. This has become a regular thing. I get my own show once again. I think that's going to happen. Let me expand a little bit.
Back.
He's back. I didn't even get.
Sorry, man. Sorry to abandon you right there. Sorry. I was getting some threats from Rhine Fire fans.
Cut your Wi-Fi lines.
No, you're right, bro. You're right. This could be dangerous because I live in Germany and I might not be able to get out of the city this weekend. We're going to see. The imported brand. That's Nathaniel Robitaille, I believe. He says Renegades versus private school. Keep it funky, Nicholas. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I'm going for, right? The private school would be the Vienna Vikings, so the private school kids, and the Renegades. That's going to be the Ryan Fire. So we've got two very different squads, very different fan bases, but it's going to be electric, man. It's going to be very electric.
Looking forward to it. It's going to be so good. Only a few more sleeps.
Couple more sleeps. Cyric, what a shocker. Now, if the Stuttgart homie is against the Fire, I'm actually not against the Fire. I'm just leaning that the Vienna Vikings are gonna pull this one out, man. So we'll see. I got no dog in this race, except just I want to see a good game. I want to see a back and forth elite football matchup here in Europe. So there we have it, guys. That is our final show before the championship game. We are going to do one more show after the championship game. However, we don't know exactly when yet. It will be sometime next week. Probably not Monday because we'll all be traveling back on Monday. So maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. We'll keep you updated, and we're gonna break down the championship game, and we're gonna see who was right, me or Matt.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. No, I don't feel incredibly strong either way. I think that this could truly go either way. But that's what we got. All right, guys. Matt, a couple more sleeps. Great show. We did it. Maybe turn the notifications off your phone because people are going to be blowing you up about the all-star teams.
Yeah.
So go on.
Sure.
Do not disturb. Congrats to everybody who is named to the ELF All-Star squads this year. Very sorry to the people who got snubbed. There's always next year. A redemption tour for you guys. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today, Matt. I'll see you tomorrow, bro.
See you tomorrow. Yeah, see you tomorrow.
There we go. All right. See you guys.